thanks for all the participants that are with us today. And more, I see more people are trickling in, which is great. We're such an honor to have all of you and to moderate such an amazing panel. So I want to start by, most of the people on the panel do not need an introduction, but I do want to take a minute and just introduce everybody. So with us, we have the amazing Terry Ross, consulting, one of the top consultants of the industry, truly brilliant at her own space and make big difference in the industry. We also honored to have with us the current president of the Aesthetic Society, Dr. Tia Movasagi, and also honored to have the past president of the International Society of Plastic Surgery and the American Society of Plastic Surgery, Dr. Renato Soltz. Today, it's a very important topic. As we all know, the industry changes and it's constantly moving and evolving. And as we all notice, as doctor and people inside this industry, med spas are going and they're growing, and the non-surgical side is only scaling and scaling much faster than any plastic surgery treatment ever scaled before. And that means that practices has to evolve. And that's really going to be the main topic that we're going to touch today. There is still many physicians that not even open a med spa. Not talking about the last few years, but maybe even way before. So we're going to share some of the experiences of the two doctors, of course, very successful that we have here, some of their insights, and then it's never too late. And what are the benefits of opening a med spa and operate one? I'm going to touch and just give a small background. When you do have a med spa, you will be, and that's based on the data, and whoever knows me as you moderate, I had the luxury to have the first business intelligence dashboard in the aesthetic industry, developed since multiple other SaaS companies, mainly around technologies and data analysis. And I got the luxury to look at all the data historically, and the practices who did good, even during recession, were the practices that had a med spa. It's a recession-proof. Future is not guaranteed to anybody. We just had COVID. We don't know what's going to be the next. There is always going to be something next. You are traveling, you're in meetings, the practice still need to generate income. You, for considering exits, there's a lot of private equities in the market. Med spas is a critical component for your valuation and to get that multiply that we all want to retire with. So those are just few of the benefits of having a med spa in parallel to your plastic surgery and how it all works together. And I actually want to tee it up and touch you, Dr. Soltz. You're one of the pioneers that started med spas in the US. Share a little bit about your story. I know that it's go back, way back when you were still a professor or physician at the Utah University. So please share with us, no better than you said.
Well, good evening. I have a bad voice, so I won't be talking too much. You're lucky because I have a lot to talk about it. It was really around 2000 that we saw the whole space, the whole aesthetic surgery space changing. And I was a full professor at University of Utah, and I tried to get the university to build a med spa for the division of plastic surgery. And together with dermatology and OBGYN, we had this whole drawings design. We had a space, was going to have a daycare, mammograms, Botox, fillers, everything that was available at the time. But the university thought it was a little too early for such a innovative pioneer program. So I decided to do on my own. And by 2002, we had the first med spa in the Intermountain West. And I'll tell you, some of my colleagues were not very happy with that initiative because was very early on. We're still, truly aesthetic surgeons at the time. You work well. We learn a lot. We made a lot of mistakes. Remember, there was no guide, there was no manual those days. So we just kept changing things. I remember when we added eyelashes and nails, and that was a disaster. So we removed that and start focusing more on the medical aspects with devices, with really well-trained master estheticians, nurses, injectors. So that's part of our history. What's interesting, and I want to bring this up because Kia had a similar experience. Uh, so there was so much confusion that the two societies got a group together, got a task force together that Rick D'Amico and I were honored to chair. And the idea was, go out there and figure out what's going on in the cosmetic medicine world, because we kept bombarding our communities in a lot of non-core physicians opening med spas everywhere. So for the next 2 years, this group, which include many past presidents and trustees of both societies, we hired a marketing company. We got a lot of help from the staff from ASAPS and ASPS, and we really study this new phenomenon. And I mean, I'll show you I'll give you the reference at the end, but was very, very interesting because we interview through emails, through phone calls, and I believe through letters at the time, uh, uh, over 2,500 subjects from all over the country. We pick areas from all over the country, potential patients, potential clients for our practice. And this marketing company studied them and sent a questionnaire, and many, many conclusions came out of this review. So the first one that was very gratifying to learn was that 93% of this entire population that we study uh, picked plastic surgeons when we asked them, who would you choose to perform cosmetic surgery? And 7% said others. Others could be dermatologists, non-cores, or other specialties. And also for minimally invasive procedures, this is back in 2007, plastic surgeons were definitely not the first choice. When you look at this, 25% pick plastic surgeons, 42% pick non-plastic surgeons, specifically dermatologists, and 33% picked non-cores. So we went back and studied that. And I said, what is the factor? Why we're not the first choice for all these minimally invasive procedures? So we went back to that 7% and we asked them, if you had a positive non-invasive procedure, positive non-invasive experience with a non-plastic surgeon, would you stay there or would you move to have your cosmetic procedure, your cosmetic surgery? And for our surprise, 47% of them said, no, I would stay with my non plastic surgeon. So initially, we didn't believe that answer. We thought that we made a mistake. We added another 1,000 or 1,200 subjects. We studied them again, sent the same questionnaire, and that was exactly the number, 47%. So we call that the 747 effect, and uh, and it was really a disruption. We learned that the demands for aesthetic surgical procedures at that time were in jeopardy if we did not capture new patients early. So all the members of this task force went out. We published this paper. It's a very interesting paper. I think everyone that is considering a med spa or considering jumping into non-surgical should read it because there's a lot more information than I'm giving you here with 3 slides. But there was a clear indication to ASAPS members, ASPS members, plastic surgeons in the United States, that they should add some degree of cosmetic meds in their practices. And I think this is still true today. I think if we repeat this study, Kia, maybe the effect now is 777, would be a much larger airplane, because I think these med spas have expanded everywhere. I think in our specialty, most of us offer some degree of non-surgicals in our practices. And I'm happy to see that the work done back in 2007 it had some positive effect in our membership, in our colleagues.
Percent. Thank you. Dr. Movasagi, I would love you to share a little bit. And we had conversation a couple of weeks ago also, and you mentioned very interesting insight that you had from one of the meetings that you asked, how many of you has a med spa? So if you can share a little bit about that meeting, I think it's going to give great background to also your experience on how you expanded your med spa services.
Absolutely. Thank you, Renato, for giving us that historical background because you guys laid the foundation for where we are today. Obviously, now the having a spa has become a necessity in our practices. But interestingly, I was at a ASPS panel, face panel last meeting, I think it was in San Diego, and we asked the folks in the crowd, and these are people who are interested in face surgery. In among 200 people, how many people were having a spa in their practices? Interestingly, only about 14 hands, maybe about 7% of the hands went up, which was to me was shocking because we are here, we're talking about people who are interested in the facial aesthetic surgery, and only 7% appreciated having a spa in their practice and appreciate the importance of it. Either the other ones are not aware of the benefits, like some of the things that Renato just highlighted, and I'm seeing it anecdotally in my practice, or they're seeing some hurdles to overcome and getting a spa going. And I think either way, we need to do a better education at the society level to bring everybody along because there is so much to gain from this. Renato can share his own very impressive numbers in his spa and the distribution of his revenue from surgical and non-surgical. I can share with you mine. Mine is 30% today is 30% non-surgical, 70% surgical, meaning that, this year I've been the president, traveling the world. While I've been traveling, I was making some income to compensate for my loss of income. So to me, it's that money that you're missing. And the other interesting thing is, I just also returned from a meeting where a gentleman who's a facial plastic surgeon, good colleague, and he is now on an advisory board on one of these very successful private equity companies. And he gave a presentation on what's attractive out there. But the number I remember is the following. To have an attractive practice, if you're thinking of an exit strategy, attractive practice, the private equity companies are looking at the practices with 50-50 distribution. So I came back from that meeting 2 weeks ago, and I went to my team and I said, hey guys, we've got to ramp it up. I'm 20% behind. So that's the direction. So even if you're thinking about exit strategy, think about having a spa because this spa is the attractive part of your practice, not your surgical side.
Yeah, and that's a great actually tee up, and I'm gonna give it to you, Terry. And me and Terry speak for over 20 meetings a year just about those topics. And many times I explain the difference in the model from capacity as a surgeon, as a physician. You only have 2 hands. If you're lucky and you find somebody else, you have 4 hands. It's very limited how much money you can generate with those hands and the time that you have for that. From a capacity point, it's extremely limited. Profitability, yes, it's far more profitable than a med spa, but when it keeps working and the engine keeps working and it's unlimited how big it can get and how many rooms you can utilize, while you even in the consultation room, you're still going to be able to generate revenue. So Terry, please, I'm going to pass it to you. Teach the magic. It's something that we lecture and we beat it so many times in so many meetings. This is really where the magic, that's where it all gets connected. This is all you.
Well, thank you, Renato. Thank you, Kia and Isaac. And thank you to everybody who is devoting your time to be with us tonight. I echo the sentiments of everybody on this panel and really to give back in the purpose, one, of this collaborative effort between the Society and 4S, and to fill a gap in the market, which is around helping aesthetic providers and surgeons build profitable, sustainable practices. We called this the new blueprint because, as Kia kind of mentioned, his split and really what private equity, whether you have a desire, you do have a legacy. And we know that the retail medicine of the business isn't going away. So let's talk about some facts. I think this is a great context. The industry is significant, 125 billion, but the non-surgical is outperforming surgery right now. When we're thinking about a patient, what does it cost you to acquire somebody? So we need to look at lifetime value. And when you can talk about treatment plans, which we'll get into, If you're doing facial plastic surgery or you're doing body surgery, we know these patients need something else. If they don't get it from you, they're going to get it from someplace else. So let's build these treatment plans because it's the right thing to do, and that's going to increase revenue by 30 to 50%. To Kia's point and Renato's point, you know, when surgeons are traveling and speaking and lecturing, we want to have passive revenue coming in, but it can't be surgery alone. Non-surgical is delivering 40 to 60% of the revenue. It's increasing retention rates because people are happy. And let's call it what it is. The business of aesthetics is hard, but financial literacy and looking at how do we really sell in this space, but because it's the right thing to do. So think about this truly. If no new patients walked in your door today, what would you do? We have to be looking at that average spend per patient and some of the benchmarks that Isaac and I have taught for many, many, many years together. We've been to Renato's practice for days. Kia, we're coming to yours, honey. But 5 really critical. There's many KPIs, but we wanted to give you some 5 important ones to think about that will increase your revenue. More importantly, help you make an informed decision. And when we think about our 4S Summit, this is what we teach in 2.5 days, but we're looking at our conversion rates. What should that be? Your revenue per client when they're in your door, whether it's for surgery or non-surgery, what are they spending? And ideally, it's both. It's not one or the other. What does it cost us to acquire a patient? It's expensive. You're spending money in marketing to get the phone to ring or the website form to come in, and your team isn't converting them. We're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. Our average revenue per hour, and we want a high retention rate around 65%. Why should you track these? The data's hard. Isaac and I always say it. Data can be sexy because it's powerful. It is your navigation. It's your roadmap. If your conversion rates are low, why is that low? Is it the wrong patients coming in the door, or is our team not trained adequately to convert them? Our revenue per client, there's some benchmarks that we need to hit. Acquisition costs can range anywhere from $250 to $500 plus. It's expensive. And our revenue per hour as a surgery, there's ways for surgeons to be more efficient, cut time down, add things on in surgery and or in combination therapy. And I'm going to give you and show you the power of these treatment plans and what it can do to your bottom line. How do we improve these? There's many tactics that we teach. Again, a lot of it is going to be truly around training is the foundation. It's the forefront. If you're not investing in your team, more importantly, the skill set of how to do a proper consultation, how to develop these treatment plans. I can tell you, Renato and I sat for days and I watched I let him tell the story. I watched his consults and, you know, he adopted the model and you just see an exponential change. And Renato can talk on that shortly. Again, looking at our average revenue per client, the only way to do that, we need to think about what do we solve in the space. We have to optimize revenue potential from every person. And what will that ultimately do? They're going to be happier because you're giving them the outcome that they want in the first place. And then we just spoke about this. Leads cost money, right? If we're not converting them, how much is being lost? And then it allows us to figure out why. Let's get into the meat and the bones and the value. We all agree, if I need a facelift, I probably need lasers and facials and Botox and fillers. I need many things to protect that investment. Same with body treatments, breast, body. We need multiple modalities to get to that outcome. When we think about the value of it, there are tools that we should use. One is a cosmetic interest questionnaire. It's designed around patients' problems. For people that don't want to feel salesy, we need to shift the mindset. You became a provider for a reason. To serve, to give back, to get good outcomes. You spend countless hours learning new techniques. We have to give the same credence to our business as we do the level of care. These are treatment plans. They're beautifully designed. Skincare regimen. Let's get into what it can do to your bottom line. But again, more importantly, we're always thinking about safety. 1, outcomes and happy patients. This is someone we probably all know. He's a KOL in New Jersey. Looking at how many days there are in a month. This is him doing face and neck lift. eight of them at 20 grand. This is showing 160,000. No treatment plan. Let's look at scenario B. This is what he does now. This is his pre-op plan, not optional. When you get surgery with this doctor, the protocol is, and that's how we say it. And the post-op plan. I don't know about you, but I'm sure all of you would agree. Would you like to add $312,000 to the bottom line? right? Do you believe that this is the right thing to do with a pre-op and a post-op plan? A BBL laser in the non-surgical world. If we're all fighting for the same lasers and the same Botox and the same fillers, we're fighting and it's going to get expensive. We are becoming a commodity. We're becoming too competitive. We have to stand out. How do you stand out? Let's do it differently. Let's not reduce the prices. Let's not run specials. Let's add on value. And by doing this, look at this, it's almost $1 million. $1 million because we believe the patient needs retail, right? They want a facial and an LED light series to support the lasers. And I could go on, right? We can look at abdominoplasty and what we add together, another $300,000. Breast lift, what is this pre-op and post-op, another 320. I hope this makes sense. I hope that you're going, God, I really know I can do this. Perhaps you're not. If you are, I ask you, I invite you, challenge yourself. Realize that this is the business we're in today. Patients are coming to you. They want these outcomes and they want to hear it from you. And if you do this, I assure you, it's about spending less in marketing, less getting new people in the door. Let's nurture the ones we have. And this is what it will do. We offer so many things, as you can see from the therapies, improved outcomes, higher revenue per hour when we look at benchmarks for your providers, happier patients, which mean they're going to come back, greater lifetime value, and greater profitability. So thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share that with you guys.
No, thank you. It's great. And I think it's even from the the highest holistic approach of the patient and the patient satisfaction, it's really to not do a justice to a patient, to do a surgery and send them somewhere else that you don't even know where, for somebody to treat them. Certified, not certified, with all their training that they need, using whatever skincare they maybe find in Macy's or Amazon or whatever it is just not fair. And that's really where the competition today, and that's where we hear also all the time the feedbacks. That is where the competition is, that customer service, is that approach of they want to come to you so they can look better, younger, feel better about themselves. Terry, you teed up perfect for Renato. Renato, I would love you to share how you implemented those treatment plans into your practice and share with everybody
Well,
the experience.
yeah, like I said, and Terry spoke very well. Like I said, we're struggling with all these things. I start going to presentations, I start going to other meetings, trying to learn how to run this thing, because now you have master estheticians, you have injectors, you have nurses, you're surrounded by divas. It's hard, and there's cost in everything involved. And I was traveling, like Kia mentioned, in 2008, the med spa really kept the payroll going. And then I was president of the Aesthetic Society from 2009 2010, traveling like Dr. Miyazaki is doing now. Crazy, you're not in town, you're not operating this. The med spa kept the payroll. And then during ISEP's presidency, 2 years traveling all over the world, the med spa kept the payroll. I was very lucky because in 2021, I think it was in the middle of COVID, Terry and Isaac landed here, and they stay with us in the basement, and for days they worked in the practice, and I saw that happening. I was very excited. I'm going to share with you the treatment plan that worked for us. So this is the one we created initially. I have already a new one for facial and body treatments. We really included treatment plans in all the surgical procedures that I do. And for example, we do hair transplants, we do neografts. So there's a variety of treatments now: microneedling, exosomes, products, medications. So it's all now combined, like the facial rejuvenation surgery, combined to a lot of things like Thierry mentioned. Patients, not only it works, but patients love that. They expect guidance from us. They're gonna go someplace else. If you don't offer, they're gonna find out on Instagram, on social media. They're gonna go someplace else. So, was the result of those meetings that we had during the weekend when Terry and Isaac were here that 4S was born, literally, because I saw the impact they had in my practice and said, guys, we need to take this to the plastic surgery community. And that's why we start doing workshops. And then it took the open-minded Dr. Miyazaki to realize this is important. He was doing his practice. He not only he himself and his board opened up the Aesthetic Society for the Ally Program, which is a major advancement in our specialty, in our national society, but also give us the opportunity to share with you at the national meeting coming up in Austin, a 4-hour presentation on this. Because even if your med spa is small, even if you offer one treatment, learn to combine things. Also, very important to have a treatment plan is not only for the patient, but for your staff. The entire staff needs to understand what you're doing. And very often, a patient would go to the front desk, say, "Oh, I need to see someone." What for? You're scheduling your facelift. So when you bring a treatment plan to your practice, like Terry mentioned, you're bringing the staff together, you're bringing the patients. It makes it all in one. And again, there's a lot of profitability, of course. By the way, Kia, we're 50-50 about spa and surgical practice. And I haven't slowed down. So the spa has really grown. The numbers are really good. And I like that you mentioned, because I think things like treatment plan, opening up for workshops like this will really take our colleagues, our aesthetic surgery society to the next level.
If you don't mind, these are all great, pointers from both Terry and Renato. The way I want people to think about their medical spa or as a complement to your surgical practice is patients come to your practice. I would say the analogy is they come to your practice through two doors. One door is the spa, the other door is the surgical side. So most practice patients may come from one of these doors to your practice. So the entry to your practice may not be your surgery, maybe the spa. A lot of times patients have fear of surgeons. So they come to practice, they're younger, especially now the fastest growing segment of the market are the millennials and Gen Zs. These are folks who are interested in prejuvenation, not rejuvenation. Rejuvenation is the 50s. They're coming in, they want to look young again. These are folks, my kids in their 20s, they're getting Botox now. They care about their skin. They don't want to lose their hair. Whereas, I lost the hair and had to fix it later. So that's one way of coming to your practice. So you come either through your spa or to your surgery. And then you have a hallway that connects these two aspects of your practice. Then the patients can go to your surgery, get their surgery done, and then they go back to your spa and maintain it. And then 4 or 5 years later, they come back to your surgery. So it's a good way of kind of that 747 and study that Renato mentioned is to keep the patients in your practice, because if you lose the patient after your facelift and they go somewhere else to get their Botox, they'll get their laser, they get everything else done elsewhere.
That's exactly correct. And they unlikely will come back, because that med spa had its own medical director, doctor associate with that. That's where they're going to become loyal. And you just lost a lot of potential revenue and profits, of course. It's the same, and when we lecture, and I don't want it to not overlook it, but the retail portion of the med spas is no less important. One of the practices that we teach is to get and generate 20% of the revenue just from the retail products, which is almost a free money, because it's exactly the same patient that will do the surgery, the same patient that do the non-surgical procedures. It's the same patient that buy retail. You need to be that provider, that aesthetic provider as a medical facility. Renato, you started to touch about the Ally program, and I think it's a great maneuver because it's a brand new initiative. We partner into that with the 4S, but I would love you, Kia, to share a little bit more with the attendees that we have.
Sure. No, Ally Pro is, I call my baby for the year, was probably one of my most important initiative for the year. And why is that? Well, as Terry and everybody else mentioned, the market has grown. The aesthetic market, the non-invasive side is exploding. And the surgery side is growing by maybe 2%. The non-surgical side is growing by double digits. So that part of the market is growing. As you can see, we created this new category of membership earlier in the year. And we start, growing this program. And what's Ally Pro? Ally Pro stands for Allied Professionals. And this is for anybody in your practice, from your front office, your patient coordinator manager, your back office nurses, your injector, your statisticians, and it could also in the future extend to your OR staff who can join the society if they're working for you at a discounted number now. Join the society, but they part of becoming a member of the society, they get a certificate that they're Alloy Pro member of the Aesthetic Society, number one. And number two, they get the 3 C's out of joining a membership. They get the confidence because we provide them the best education from the most trusted faculty. It's something that they don't have necessarily access to outside of our society. Number two, they get the credibility that now they belong to a very prestigious society called the Aesthetic Society. And number three, one thing that they all talk about when we talk to them is a sense of community, because a lot of these folks are kind of lonely out there by themselves, especially if they're not working in a surgical practice. They get that sense of community that they can communicate with each other. Now, what we're trying to bring to the market is a sense of standardization of the education, and then down the road certification. As you can see, some of these examples of the education they can receive from us. We are already providing webinars in 5 categories of education: practice management, devices, injections, skincare, wellness, and health. And we already have had some webinars on these topics. All these webinars will be then housed in our what we call the Aesthetic Society Academy, which is our newly developed digital platform. So they can go back and get access to these. And down we're working now with in terms of the certification process for these folks. So a lot is coming down the pipeline, and I can foresee in 5 years from now, this segment of our society is just going to explode, because there is a great need to bring a standardization to this, so we can bring patient safety and improve outcomes to the market. Right now, one of the things that we see is, when there's complication in the market, guess what? It affects all of us. So we need to bring all of us as a rising tide together.
I think it's very well needed. It's something that we see from our attendees at the 4S when they come. It comes from all the spectrum. Come from the medspa, from the derm, from the dental. It's a aesthetic umbrella. It becomes one. It's united for the patients. They don't even know how to differentiate it many times. They just want to be served by the best that they know that it's the best. And I think that what the aesthetic society is going towards is exactly that, becoming the home of all those professionals, because they all need to have the training. We give a portion on the practice management side and how to generate more and how to do better, but there is so many other aspects. And Renata, you were one of the leaders of patient safety and change worldwide regulations. So how did, from your perspective as a past president of the multiple society, being very involved your entire career in those societies, what is your input for that?
Well, I think he spoke very well. I think at the end of the day, it's up to us, the surgeons, to make them move, and I encourage my colleagues to really attend like any practice management session, not only for us, but look through the program. We end up at the facelift, at the breast, and at the body contouring sessions, and I think we have to change that um, the approach, because in the past, I used to send my staff, you go and learn everything about practice management and marketing, and then we meet for lunch and we'll talk about your session. And I was sitting at the facelift session. But I think it's very important, and I think Terry would support this, to get the owners there. You own your practice. You are responsible for that patient. You are the one that's going to be looking at those financials, those P&Ls, and the KPIs, not your staff, not your front desk, not your concierge, not manager. It's your practice. And when it comes down to like my generation, look at exit strategies, they want to know, where are my numbers? Where are my patients? Where is my conversion? Like Terry mentioned. So I encourage our colleagues to, don't just send your allies to your staff to the sessions. Go there, check it out, learn, go back and implement the changes. Look at your KPIs, learn what KPIs are. I remember the first 4S that I attended, I sat in one of your sessions to learn how to do an Excel, how to read a P&L. I was furious. I mean, here I am sitting for 2 hours, but I learned. And today I can argue with anyone, including my CPA. So I think it's important. It's your practice, it's your name. These are our patients. And like Kia mentioned, it's this whole new world. And I couldn't be happier to see the Aesthetic Society taking the lead in this space.
Amazing. Terry, I love your into that. You were extremely involved in the MSPA from the very foundation when it's just created. Today, they're one of the largest organization among medspas. Very kind of like narrowed into that, but again, you've been now involved all around, all across. You have a lot of input from the practices you visit and saw. What is your input for that?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you all. I hope everybody's finding this so healthy and fruitful. I spent 16 years in Fortune 500, and I had an opportunity to work with some of your colleagues in Beverly Hills, some very world-renowned plastic surgeons, and then to open up a med spa that was also owned by 3 surgeons and a derm. And you can imagine Beverly Hills is one of the most competitive markets in the country. And I didn't know, and this is back in 2013. They had hired me as a consultant. I sat in on one of the first AM spas, and it was a tiny little thing 10 years ago, right? 20 people were sitting in a room, and now look at it, thousands and thousands. And I shared the story because I had to learn a lot and make a lot of mistakes. But what came from that is going to these non-surgical American Medical Spa. Now it is what we've all been talking about. It's not surgery or med spa. It is a holistic, comprehensive center. And if we think about some of the statistics, the average med spa is doing 1.2 million. People will say, Terry, is that good? I'm like, it's all relative, right? But when we look at what private equity looks at, they look at significant EBITDA, especially on the non-surgical side. And so that's, again, really why, and Kia, thank you so much. I mean, such an initiative to bring the allied health to the societies, to open up the doors. Why Renato mentioned it, why 2 years ago we developed the 4S Summit, which is around filling this gap of education. And look, the societies are fantastic all around the world, but the talks are very short. And so how do we bring, right, to Renato's point, sitting there doing Excel and plugging it and not knowing what's going on, right. How do we bring it where we again, we give the same level of opportunity on the business front, and rising tides do lift all boats, because now we have, look at dentists and family practitioners and everybody and their brothers trying to open up a non-surgical place. It's scary. And how do we say we have the talent, right? We have the skills, we have the education, you're all here. And to what we've all been, right? It's all about keeping them within your practice. And I'm going to say it one more time, because I was 2 days in Sacramento yesterday with somebody who had 10 location. It is a mindset, right? Are we going to recognize that as a provider, it's just your obligation? It's the right thing to do if that's what they need. And 50% of people actually educate. And Isaac brought up retail. The industry is about 6%, and it should be 20. So thank you for that. I know we have lots of opportunity to grow.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, Terry. Kia, there is a meeting coming right around the corner of the aesthetic meeting. I know that there is a lot of new things in the formats. I'm super excited. We're going to do some workshops, actually multiple different sessions, and invite, of course, everybody to attend ours. Anybody that felt that this is a little bit benefits, you guys are going to get a lot more in the workshop. And then at the forest, if you join us later, it's 2.5 days of a lot of that. And share with us a little bit what's waiting in that meeting, some of the new things, why people should come, what's the exciting stuff that I know. Share with everybody, please. You on mute? I just want to make sure. You on mute?
Yep. When I started the year, I termed the year of reimagination. It was time to reimagine how we function as a society, both internally and externally, because the market is changing. As everybody said, the market is changing. Everybody's trying to get into this market. And when I go around the country, and I think one of your attendees asked this question, is the society doing something to stop others competition getting the market? In reality, we can't. You can't stop people getting the market. That's just not the nature of this country. This is a capitalistic country. So everybody can get in. Sure, we can talk about regulations and this and that. But at the end of the day, you are going to compete. You have to learn how to compete with the competitors. Deliver a better product, whether it's your surgical or whether it's a spa. Good patients gravitate towards better quality product, just like anything else in the market. So in the society, we thought it was the right year to reimagine how we also do education. So we called it Education Reimagine, and we had a task force. We put this meeting together, and we renamed the society meeting, the annual meeting, the Aesthetic Meet, a place where all minds come together in an inclusive fashion, in a much more vibrant and exciting and fun way to exchange ideas. And we have all walks of life in the aesthetic market. We have not only just the plastic surgeons, we actually opened the society meeting this year to all colleagues from the core specialties, because they can also contribute to our education and we can learn from each other. And of course, everybody works within their own scope of practice and only allowed in those sessions. We also have a big non-surgical segment, for the Alloy Pro, and as Renato said, I highly recommend the doctors also should be attend these sessions. And we have, as I said, we cover 3 days of those 5 topics in Alloy Pro. So there's a lot that we're going to be offering this meeting. We have, again, surgical, non-surgical, cadaver, live surgeries. Everything we're offering this meeting is going to be a different kind of a meeting. So I hope I can welcome all of you in Austin, Texas, March 20th through 23rd, and celebrate the year and all the accomplishments of the year, which has been quite a bit actually together. I look forward to seeing you all there.
Now, this is very exciting, and I'm so happy to see that the society is involved and changing a little bit of the format. It's something that we were very eager to be part of, and I'm so happy about our partnership that we were able to form, and excited to be able to share more of that education and bring more people together. Terry, I'm going to pass it to you. I want you to tell a little bit the story of what is the 4S? What did we come up with? What was it that we waited for the change to happen, and how we try to already make some steps ahead? You unmute, so please just unmute before you start.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And again, thank you. It's such a tremendous honor to be part of the society, and want to have it be recognized that this is equally as important as doing surgery and being a provider and doing the craft. To Renato's point, Isaac and I were in business together. We had a company, and I think we all recognized that, and I've had Terry Ross Consulting for 15 years. People were craving. They were craving the business knowledge, the KPIs, the sales training, the how. They were craving the how. So Dr. Schultz and Renato, and Isaac and myself came together to put together the 4S Summit, which is around sales and business mastery. Think about it like your MBA of aesthetics. It's a 2.5-day, really down and dirty. It's not theoretical. It's not philosophical. It is come to work, right? We run 2 tracks where there's a sales track, and then there's a track around KPIs, financials, business, M&A, owner to owner. And it really is bringing a community of people together. And it's not just coming one time, but it really is you walking away with a blueprint of the why and of the how.
How can you take care of patients if you can't run your practice more efficiently?
Nothing compares to the 4S Summit.
This is one of the only summits that exists for people who want to understand the financial, the marketing, the sales, the operational.
Mind-blowing education here.
It far exceeded my expectations.
This year, in April, in Los Angeles, in Beverly Hills. And if you have a desire, if any of this resonated with you, I know that there were some polls throughout this conversation. We will see you in a couple of weeks in Austin. We're very honored for that opportunity. And if you really want to learn more and find this valuable, I invite you to scan the code. We have 3 events, one in April, July in Chicago, and December in Florida.
So before we jumping into some pre-questions that I made, I love if you have any additional notes from the panelists that I have, Kia, Renato, Terry, more into this topic. I think that I want to circle back a little bit to where we started, the importance of having a med spa working together with your plastic surgery. Why is it so important? You're not behind the ball. Some people started 20 years ago. Some people start today. Every day there is new med spa starting all around. Weight loss is the new hot thing, growing faster than Botox. I'm sure that soon there's going to be another new thing. Please share some more of your wisdom before we jump into some questions.
I think one very important point, sort of my passion has been patient safety, and we certainly witnessing a lot of that going on. For example, Quad A now has put a group together, which we have calls a couple times a month, just looking the potential accreditation for med spas, because we're seeing a lot of problems. We're seeing a lot of injuries in an area that perhaps you shouldn't have. So I like to see how this space is now becoming a little more serious, a little more credible, and I think, as always, plastic surgeons will take it to the next level, and will make it as serious, as safe as we did with surgery, and that really is very important to me. One of the things we discussed during 4S are issues related to patient safety and how you manage them and how you build your med spa, and who do you hire? What is the process? And that should come long before you look at devices, long before you look at money or products. So again, being a surgeon, being an honor, and select your team carefully. Make sure you follow the basic principles of being an aesthetic surgeon, and you're gonna protect your patients.
Yeah, I think, actually, along those lines, we had a couple of folks who asked the question. One question was that, there is a med spa opening up every corner in their city. And how do you go about, competing with these folks? And also, how do you start a med spa? As interestingly, one of your survey question was, how many people had the spa, and of the attendees tonight, which I think these are the people who are interested in the spa. 58% said they already had a spa, but 42% they either don't have a spa or they're thinking about it. So that means there's a lot of work to be done here. But in terms of how you enter the market, I think if you're a surgeon, already have a surgical practice, you already have the database. All you have to do is market to your own database. You don't have to worry about the, Joe Smith around the corner. There's always going to be competition. We live in a capitalistic society. Work on what you can control, and I would say start with your own practice. Start slow. Don't go crazy with buying a bunch of machines that you don't have patience for it. Start slow. Hire a esthetician. Maybe provide some low cost, and first of all, train them well, but also make sure that the folks represent your culture. Number one, that's very important. But number two, start with low cost sort of overhead procedures and get that going. And then once you feel like, okay, I got some retention with my patients, use your Botox and fillers as your another level. Again, hire an injector for you who can work with you in a safe manner, and then grow from there. And then the devices should be coming down the pipeline. And then you can talk to your colleagues about, I keep, acquiring new devices based on, I talk to Renato, he gives me an advice, I, purchase it. So take baby steps forward. You don't have to have a biggest spa tomorrow. I was looking at my numbers, I was obviously behind Renato starting this process. 3 or 4 years ago, I was 15% spa. Now I'm 30%. I doubled my spa revenue. So it's going to continue to grow. Why? I've done a lot of internal marketing, and that's where I'm going. I'm not going crazy with Groupon. Those are not the patients I want to draw to my practice. I have a high-end practice, boutique practice. So I want to retain the patients who come in and keep providing them ongoing, because it's much less expensive to keep a patient in your practice than keep trying bringing new patients.
Yeah. So accurate, such a great advices. And I'll say dozens of times we see people buying the wrong things ahead of time, spending too much money. Always remember, and that's more on the financial side, and we work on it and we teach you, you have to split the books. In too many times we've seen, when I say books, I mean the financial books, the QuickBooks needs to be totally separated. It's two different type of businesses. And in so many cases, we've seen that when the plastic surgery and the medspa having the same book, the medspa is actually losing money and operating in a negative, but because the plastic surgery is so profitable, it's just overcome it and it's overlooked. So our first advice I would give is separate your books, because the medspa do operate on a much lower margin. The average margin profitability, EBITDA, of a medspa in the US is 20%. It's not a lot. Now, it's a 20% from what? And that's really where the game, because it's unlimited and it can move on multiple locations with many different providers on different rooms. But again, I think we all here say the same thing. If you don't have it, don't be too late. You have to do it. But it's easy to say than done. And that's really why we do what we do, right? That's what the 4S is for. That's what education is for. That's what the society is turning into. That's what all those workshops are going to wait for you. That's what it's all about. It's about coming and having it a little bit easier and do the right things and not go over the mistakes that other people have already done. Terry, I want you to share some of your advice. Somebody consider, maybe if they don't have it today, what they should do. If they have it already and they don't optimize or maximize, top 3 advices to anyone.
Yeah, I mean, I think when people always ask us, what do we do? You know, at the end of the day, we sell time. So if you don't have a med spa, and I think Kia made a couple points, and you are thinking about incorporating non-surgical, think of the narrative. What surgeries do you do? What would complement those surgeries? You've seen the treatment plan slides that I showed. If we're thinking about that people are going someplace, people need retail, right? They need facials, they'll need lasers, they'll need injectables, they'll need many things to augment that surgery. And don't go big. Think of the things that have the highest gross profit. So that I will say that people buy things and start to discount, and then they're paying labor and they don't know those benchmarks, and then you're ultimately losing money. So let us teach you what that gross profit should be. And on non-surgical services, they should be over 60%. And then we're paying labor, and that should be under 20%. So there's some really key things that if you knew these benchmarks, or you're looking at your profit and loss, you're like, I'm way out of whack. But what can you do now? You can actually make an informed decision to make a change. Right now, many don't know. So we want to encourage you and educate you on how do we make those changes. And for the practices that do have these thriving med spas, they've grown multi-millions of dollars by really adopting kind of what Renato and Kia have both said, really adopting, you know what, I'm not a salesperson. It's not, I'm a surgeon or I'm a med spa. It is a comprehensive center. They want to hear it from you, and it can exponentially grow your business and provide happy people. And then obviously, again, we're going to see you guys in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, there is actually an interesting question, and I know the answer. I want you to answer because you know the girls who made it to the Forbes, even with that,
yeah.
with the answer to that. So the question is, can a med spa in an office building thrive, or it has to be a storefront location?
I was literally just about to write in the chat. So thank you for the question. I appreciate it. Look, I'm going to say this with all of my heart, with boldness and conviction. Any med spa can thrive, but it's only going to be as much as you give into it. So if you adopt a mentality that I want to have a comprehensive center because I believe it's the right thing to do for my patients. I believe that they're going to need skincare and lasers and body contouring and injectable. They're going to need that. He said, like, now the age range is 18 up to 70s. We're in a commodity. What makes the difference is you as a person, you as a surgeon, you as an owner, as an entrepreneur, the culture and leadership you breathe, and then how you train your team. And I can't stress it enough. It's what I've sort of built my career on. It is the foundation. We can't have expectations of our staff to do things or to yield results and money and conversions when they don't even know how to do it. So I think any med spa can thrive with the right understanding of the data, the right services that yield the highest return, and the right training.
Thank you.
Well
And
said.
I want to thank everybody that was attended today, this webinar, and whoever is going to watch the recording later. I want a special thanks again to Kia, president of the society, and the changes that you're leading. Thank you, Renato, for the time, all the insights. Again, you're super involved in the society still until today, and all the other societies as well, and do a lot for the industry and everything that you lead, the changes. Terry, thank you so much as well. I hope to see everybody at the Meet meeting in March 20 to 23. Our workshop is going to be there, and outside of our workshop, there is a lot of other amazing speakers and program. Review that, if not there, at our in April in LA for the 4S. Again, can do big things, and that's what we're here for, to help you. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
So much.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.